We have LA Galaxy head coach Greg Vanney with us now. We'll go ahead and jump straight into questions from Damian Calhoun. Damian, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. Can we get an update on Gaston?
Yeah, he had an MRI. He went this morning to see the doc. He has a meniscus tear. So that's not good news for sure. So he will, I believe he will undergo probably a procedure early next week. And then we'll have some more information in the procedure. So those can, when they get in there to see the severity of the tear, then they'll have a better sense of what that's going to look like. So again, another non-contact kind of moment in which we, unfortunately, we lose an important player in a situation that isn't much of a situation. So it's a bit of how things are going. So we feel for him, and hopefully when they get in there, the news will be that it's not something a big tear, but hopefully it's just a smaller one that they can clean up and move on. But we'll see.
Was that on a contact play, or was it? Because I know he went down twice, I think, in the first half.
Yeah, no, it was the second one when he came off, and he was stepping forward, as I recall, to kind of step out to a player defensively. And when he stepped down, just watching the video, he stepped down. He you could see he took pressure off of that leg pretty quickly, and then sat down pretty quickly after. But I didn't see any contact that would have led to it. I didn't see anything. Clearly, I think it was more just he was stepping forward and decelerating a little bit on that last step, and it looked like something caught him. But I might have missed something in there.
I know last week you said Delgado was questionable for this game here. Does moving the date back get him closer, or where's his process is?
Yeah, he was involved in most of training today, so we'll see. He had a moment here or there where you could tell he was testing things out and seeing how he was feeling, but he's certainly progressing in the right direction. We'll see how he feels tomorrow as we come out of today, how sore he is or any of those kinds of things, and we'll make a decision probably by end of day tomorrow. Obviously, we have to of where he's at and if he's going to be available. But he's doing a lot more. He's really close. So it's a little bit of kind of a last minute decision to see if he's really ready and safe to step out there. We obviously don't want to put anyone at risk at this point either, and so we're going to try to make a smart decision with Markey as to how we proceed for Sunday.
And how do you go about replacing Gaston? I mean, he's so valuable on both ends of the field there. What's your thought? I mean, it's a couple of days away, but what's your thought process right now?
Yeah, obviously in the short term, we internally have to step up. I thought Uri came on and had a solid performance the other night. He's a guy who has a lot of experience in our league, and he certainly knows how to play the defensive midfield position. He had some little injury issues earlier in the season, so didn't see a ton of time, but I thought he showed some experience when he came on. So obviously he's an option. As Mark returns back, he becomes an option. So again, it's one of these scenarios where for sure in the short term, it's just the next guy has to step in and fulfill the responsibilities of the position, but in the way that player plays the position. He doesn't need to be Gaston, doesn't need to do anything different than just be themselves and trust the system and trust what we're doing and be themselves.
Any positives you can take away from the Leon game? They scored the one goal.
Yeah, there were some good moments. I take, collectively, I thought we had some good moments inside of the game in terms of, even possessing and creating some what should have been more dangerous situations and situations that we should have finished inside of in a game where they're a tough team to play against because they will get personal and get man on man, and that can be disruptive at times. But I thought, we did have some good moments with the ball, and we did create some very dangerous chances. We didn't execute in the final play. There was times where we should have made one more pass, and I think that the finish would have been even better. There's times where we just needed to finish a play. And I think in games like that, my experience in these competitions against these types of teams, as they are in all games, but you have to take your chances because the game is tight. And in that type of game, it was tight. You know, defensively, we had some good moments, but we also had some sort of naive moments, one of which led to the goal. But there were some good moments inside of the game, you know, and I thought we controlled stretches for sure of the second half. And, yeah, so I think there's positives. Again, in this moment with this gap in between and this event, there's things that we have to keep improving on and keep talking about in terms of our consistency. If we want to win games, we have to play a consistent game for 90 minutes, and if we want to put together points, we've got to play game after game with consistency. So it's important that we try to while we are attacking this competition to try to be successful, that we also maintain our progression of improving and things like that. So I thought Novak played excellent, both with the ball and with his choices and distribution and his confidence on the ball, but also in his defensive moments. I thought he was excellent. He made some very good saves from a couple from close. I thought he came out and dealt with a couple crosses on the punch where he showed some aggression off his line. And I just thought he looked comfortable back there. So I thought that was a great moment to take out of the game, as I thought he did really well.
And now you're going into an opponent that you're familiar with, but like I said the other night, one that gives you, problems the last couple times. What's been your thoughts on Vancouver, especially coming off the last game?
Yeah, for me, the last game was really about the first 20 minutes or so of the game. We just got off to such a poor start and managed a situation specifically very early in the game poorly between, Chris, who challenged for the header, and Vanney, who has the option, I think, twice to either come and deal with it in the air or deal with it after the header. We don't, in all three of those moments, we don't deal with that, and then we're behind the game instantly. After that, again, I felt like there was just, a couple few errors early in the game that we got punished for them, and we never settled in that first 20 minutes because they probably could have had one or two more even in that. They hit the crossbar once, but we just never settled into that. Once we got through that stretch, and unfortunately we're down a man, I thought we settled in. I thought we started to connect, and to be fair, from that point on, I thought it was as even of a game as it could be, especially given that we were down a man. I thought we found some success inside of the playing. So they're an organized team. Sometimes they, defensively they're organized. They have some patterns that they run, and guys who are combative and that they play, and they know what they're doing. And so for us, it's again, I think it comes down to us getting off to a good start and letting the game settle in. And once it settles in, I think we're very good at finding the solutions inside of the game, and we need to give ourselves that opportunity this time against them to be better in that way. That was it primarily from my perspective, and obviously keeping 11 guys on the field can help the situation. But we went on from that point to score 2 more goals and make it 3-2, and we actually had a chance or two to possibly get ourselves back into it before they scored the 4th to make it 4-2. But we certainly made a game of it, and our response after the initial start was good. But we've got to play a complete game, which is part of the discussion yesterday from the other night as well. It's playing a complete game and being smart about managing every play through the course of the game. And if we do that, we can beat anybody on any day.
Where do you think Preston and Joveljic is right now? I mean, Joveljic came on for a short period of time. He had, I think, 2 early chances. And I think Judd had one, but instead of shooting, he squared it off to the left, I believe. Where are those two at mentally, you think, coming into this game? You want them, you think one goal can really get them going, but we've seen them sort of struggle a little bit here.
Yeah, I think they're both, in their own ways. I think they're both pressing to try to get that goal, right? As strikers do, they know that that's their primary responsibility is help the team finish. So I think in their own ways, meaning that they're different types of players and they play the game in slightly different ways. They're each pressing in their own way to try to get that goal. For Preston, he's not one that connects with the team a lot in the build-out and in the possession moments. Sometimes he's not that easy to find because he's constantly organizing how he's going to get to goal and try to create the final moment. He had one, as you mentioned, they got behind, he chose to square it across and go. He has one where he's in a really good spot where if Tyler squares it across, he probably taps it in. Tyler tries to finish on goal. He sees that as an option. So there's just those little moments, where if we can help the forwards out, they might get on it. If they can help themselves out sometimes, they can get on it. As far as Dayon, sometimes I think he's really busy inside the game trying to figure out how to get on the end of every ball and be a part of the build-out and try to be a part of the finish. And sometimes by so much action and so much movement to be integrated, you don't end up in the right places at the right times in the final bits. But the ball that Raw plays in behind the back line, it's, not the easiest of finishes because it bounces in front of him, but, a really high-flying, confident Dayon probably finds a way to put that back in the back of the net. But I think it's a little bit of maybe that tentativeness, like, I got to finish this one at the final moment that maybe catches him a little bit. But I thought when he came on, he was busy, he was active, he was looking for little runs to get into dangerous positions. He connected pretty well with the group. So, but again, I think each is they're different players, but they're each trying to press in their own ways to get themselves on the board and to help the team from a goal scoring perspective. So, it's just trying to give each one their opportunity and their run, and allow them the space to just be themselves inside of the group and give the group what it needs, but hopefully get them the opportunity to score the goal where they can start to build some confidence and momentum off of that.
I mean, but you need goals.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
like,
yeah, we can't force goals out of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
we need goals out of them, and as I said to you, in the case of the play with Tyler, Tyler has two decisions. He can shoot or he can square and give us potentially a tap in. He goes, and lately we've been getting goals from some other places other than our forwards. But our forwards have to become a part of the goal scoring act. We're not going to get goals from everywhere else and be successful for long periods of time. We can do that over a couple of games or a few games, but ultimately our forwards have to be a part of the goal scoring actions and score their fair share of goals through the process. So yeah, we need goals, and we need them to take their chances when they have their chances, most importantly. And we also need to find them when they are available in moments to finish. And so, again, we need goals. There's no two ways about it. But we need everybody to contribute a little bit, because that's just the nature of where we are in the moment, given our circumstances. And so we need a little bit of that from everywhere, and in support of the forwards, but the forwards also have to get their fair share too.
Does Ricky's role change at all without Gaston, you think?
No, not entirely. I mean, I think Ricky's done a nice job of finding a balance over this stretch of games of when to come down and pick up the ball and then try to start an attack, when to stay high and pick up the ball and try to finish an attack. So I think he's found a nice rhythm inside of that. I think it's for him to continue to do that. One of the things I will look for him, and this will be a discussion between him and I tomorrow, is to help continue to evolve as a leader inside of the group, as he's a young guy, but everybody looks to him as a key guy on our team. So now with Javi down, with Martin down, with Gaston down, it's also a little bit of picking up some of the leadership presence inside of the group. And, I've seen that at times over the last few games from Ricky, where he's trying to bring the group along and stuff. So it's just a little bit of, that would be the piece that I would say I'd love for him to even find another level inside of that, just to try to support and bring the group forward from a leadership, emotional sort of perspective. Not necessarily put the group on his back in a way that he has to do more, because I just don't think that's the right solution, but where we can try to bring everybody together just a little bit further as a group. And that's a space where we'll need him and others to kind of pick up that a little bit too.
And just a couple more. Your thoughts on the tournament so far? I saw St. Louis took a big loss last night. I think Cincinnati did beat Chivas today, but your overall thoughts on how the tournament's played out so far?
It's an interesting tournament at a very strange point in the season. I like these competitions. The hard part is, when do you play them? And for our clubs, all of us, we've jammed in a lot of games into the early part of the season to create a window of time to play this. And so you kind of overplay your players in some way, shape, or form, potentially in the beginning, to now all of a sudden hit a tournament in which it's a good tournament and it's an important tournament, but it's probably, for most of us, it isn't the league. And so, and the league is a lot where in history, what is most important inside of our season. So, for us to lose a player like Gaston in this particular event is hard to swallow. And so that's the challenge. But I do think that everybody has played it in a competitive way. I think everybody's taking it serious, which is important. If this event is going to continue and have meaning, then I think that's important, as we have, and as what I've seen from everybody, it's important. It's just a matter of where does it fit into the calendar so that it makes sense for all of us to put everything out there and understand that it's that. I don't know if it's the beginning, if it's the end. In the middle seems challenging, but I understand it and I support it. I know it's a difficult challenge always within the league to figure out how to do these things that are unique and interesting and can be a great part of our evolution as a league. It's just a matter of when.
And then their roster depth always sort of wins out in the end, which leads to another discussion inside of the league here going forward. So.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing, and I stated this in a previous press conference before, is when we play so many games in a short period of time, but we're constricted by a pretty tight salary cap in the grand scheme of things, and most teams don't find themselves in a situation where they are perfectly organized within their cap. They're going through some sort of transition, and for us, a much bigger transition with all of the different things going on. You try to spread your team really thin and through an event like this, and it becomes a challenge and a different ask. And down the road, as we look at events like this, if we were able to stretch out our depth and stretch out the rosters, the quality of the rosters, things like that, I think it can also tie into these events becoming really more feasible and even at a higher level. And so I think that's to becoming. And that's part of the evolution of where the league, I do believe it will go. And I think that those discussions are happening. When and where and how, I think, are for them to figure out. But I think everybody understands that that's part of us growing as a league and getting better, is to continue to push the quality of the game and the quality of the players, and that's what the fans want to see too, and so I think we'll continue to see that growth and development inside of the league.
Thanks, Damien. If that's all from you, we don't have any questions right now on Zoom, so we can go ahead and conclude today's press conference. Greg, we thank you for your time.
Thanks. Good chat, Damien. Appreciate it.